The Trump administration today unveiled its first budget, a $4.1 trillion plan titled The New Foundation for American Greatness. It includes $200 billion for infrastructure, $1.6 billion to build the wall, $19 billion for a new parental leave plan, and proposes more than $600 billion in cuts to Medicaid in an effort to balance the budget over the next decade.
It's new in that it balances for the first time in at least 10 years. The previous administration completely gave up on that. If I take money from you and I have no intention of ever giving it back, that is not debt, that is theft.
Joining me now to discuss what Director Mulvaney is calling a taxpayer-first budget and the Trump administration's efforts to build that border wall, Michelle Malkin, host of Michelle Malkin Investigates on CRTV.com. Michelle, great to have you with us. This is some budget, $4.1 trillion. And actually, we get a down payment, or perhaps an installment, if you will, on the wall. What do you make of it?
I think it's a very solid down payment on Donald Trump's most important promise, and that is building that wall and making sure that our land, sea, and airports of security are, in fact, secure. So with regard to both the physical infrastructure and the manpower increases along the southern border, I think the Americans who, of all political persuasions and backgrounds, who supported Donald Trump because of how important border security was for them will be very happy. You've got some 32 miles of wall that will be funded by this along the southern border, along with reinforcements of fencing in San Diego, where apprehensions are highest.
Sure.
You have huge increases in both Border Patrol agents, Customs and Border Patrol agents, and federal immigration enforcement agents, because I believe that the folks at DHS and in the Trump administration at the highest levels understand that what we need is comprehensive border security, that it is not just the wall, right?
I love the counterpoint to comprehensive immigration reform.
Yes, exactly. And comprehensive enforcement, of course, entails increasing the number of criminal investigators, for example, and paying attention to all aspects of security. There's some good stuff in here to increase maritime security as well, and make sure that airport security gets bolstered, too.
As you look at all of the money that's being spent, it is the beginning of a turn. A dramatic turn, in fact, with fiscal 18 budget. It's also a very controversial cut in spending that I think caught a lot of people in both parties by surprise. And if we could put that up, the key spending cuts here, Medicaid and children's health insurance programs, $616 billion in cuts. Food stamps cut $193 billion. The student loan program, $143 billion, disability program, $72 billion. Your reaction to that and to some of the criticism the president is receiving from primarily the left?
Yes, and the usual suspects, the big government chicken little alarmists, are reacting to this as if it's some sort of draconian slash, when really, practically what we're talking about are promising steps in what I believe is the right direction and slowing the rate of growth of government at all levels. But of course, you know, from the entitlement expansionists in the Democratic Party, you're going to have the usual hue and cry that babies are having food snatched from them and old people are going to die. And I think that the American people are tired of that kind of apocalyptic overreach. This is a step in the right direction, and I hope that the Trump administration holds fast on it.
Well, as long as the left wing of the Democratic Party exists, there's going to be apocalypse. You know, the idea of moving Medicaid back to the states, letting the states have a greater role in making determinations through block grants, through a reverse allocation. I think could be historic and is critically important to change the tone of the conversation, indeed the conversation itself, and put people back to work. And this president has been focused from the beginning, before the beginning, on creating jobs, and it's brightened the outlook for millions of Americans already.
Indeed, it is pro-American taxpayer, it is pro-American family, it is pro-American citizen. Let's just take Medicaid spending, for example. In many of these states, what's happened is you've got open borders Democrats who've hijacked Medicaid spending to steer it away from American families, families with disabled kids who were getting that kind of funding, and it has been steered towards illegal immigration. This is what's happened in Chicago. I've covered the example of families of disabled children who have been kicked back to the back of the line. And, you know, what the Trump administration is saying is no more of that. It's those kind of so-called radical progressive policies that have robbed American families. Where are the Democrats to stand up for that?
Michelle, as always, great to have you with us. Thanks. Michelle Malkin. Be sure to vote in our poll tonight. The question is, do you believe President Trump is right to call radical Islamist terrorists